Go ahead.
Welcome everyone to the February 23rd meeting of the Minneapolis Bicycle Advisory Committee. Notice, this meeting may involve the remote participation by members, either by telephone or other electronic means, due to the local public health emergency, novel coronavirus pandemic, pursuant to the provisions of Minnesota State Statutes, section 13D.021. Welcome everybody. I'm going to ask Millicent to call the roll, and because we have at least one new face today, I would appreciate it if when you say you're here for roll, you could also share out your affiliation so that our new member, incoming member, Jeremy, can get a sense of who's here. So with that, I will turn it over to Millicent to call the roll.
I have to unmute myself first. All right. Aaron Schaefer.
I'm here, and I represent Ward 8.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, great. Adrian?
Yes, I am here, and I'm the representative of the Community Planning and Economic Development Department in the city.
Armand? Brienne?
Hi, I'm Bria, use she, her pronouns. I represent Ward 12.
Dan Booty? Dan Miller?
Here, Ward 1.
Deanna Newman?
Here, I represent Ward 7.
Alyssa?
Hey, my name is Alyssa Shuffman. I use she and they pronouns. I am the Board 9 representative and the committee chair.
Georgiana? Greg Souter? Heather? Tyler?
Here.
Janice?
Here, and Park Board citizen rep.
Jennifer Borden?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jenny Borden. I use she, her pronouns, and I represent Minneapolis Public Schools.
Jesse Thornton?
I'm here, and I'm a representative for the Minnesota Department of Transportation.
Joey Sinker?
Here, I represent Ward 3.
Carl Headland?
Hi, I'm representing Downtown's Transportation Management Organization.
Jordan Kosek? Cadence Novak?
Hi, my name is Cadence. I use they, them pronouns, and I am one of the Park Board citizen reps and secretary.
Is Kyle Larson here? Nope. Jeremy? Can I call on you today, possibly?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here. My name is Jeremy Bergerson. I was just appointed by the Park Board, and I started in June officially, but I'll be joining until then. So nice to be here.
Marty Grimes? Matthew Hendricks?
Hi, I'm Matthew Hendricks. I use he, him pronouns and represent Ward 6.
Maya?
I'm here. My name is Maya Sheikh. I use she, her pronouns, and I represent Ward 11.
Natalie?
Hi, my name is Natalie Wagner. I use she and they pronouns, and I represent Ward 10. Thank you.
Philip? Steve Elmer? Is Tom on this list still? I'm sorry. Sometimes I get a little mixed up. Tom?
Hey y'all, Tom Tile, Minneapolis
Tom.
Health Department.
Thanks, Tom. Chris Kartheiser?
Hey, I'm here. I use he, him pronouns. I help staff the committee for the city of Minneapolis along with Millicent.
I'm Millicent Flowers. I'm another Public Works City of Minneapolis staff. Anyone else that I haven't called their name? All right, we have 20 present.
Thank you, Millicent. And then just to clarify, Jeremy, I think you already know this, but because your term doesn't start until June, you're not a voting member, so you're not going to be voting today. And information for other folks as well. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda and accept the January Bicycle Advisory Committee minutes.
So move. This is Matthew.
Dan Miller seconds.
For discussion of the minutes, I had a few small, mostly attendance changes that I sent to Cadence and Millicent in advance. John Barabs is still listed as a member and should be removed from the absent list. Our mayoral designee seat is listed as vacant again, so Abdi should be removed. Millicent should be added under staff attendance. And then Kyle Larson should also be listed under members absent, since his term, I think, then doesn't end until Jeremy's officially begins in June. So I would move those changes in the January minutes. Are there other discussion or changes? Or Cadence, you're off mute.
I just had a quick question. Sorry, Jeremy. I have Jeremy down for today's attendance, but I shouldn't list him until he joins, officially starts in June.
You could list him under others present,
Okay.
which is something I typically do with presenters sometimes, but I wouldn't list him under members, correct?
So Alyssa, does it make sense for me to call Jeremy's name in the official role? Just not, he can just be like a guest. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep. Since Jeremy won't be voting today, you can, for all the vote rolls, you can not call Jeremy. Jeremy will get to witness the long agony that is the roll call without participating in it.
All right.
Any other changes to the January minutes or discussion?
Yeah, this is Dan Miller. Underneath the Hennepin Avenue, oh, I'm sorry, it's the Graco Park design action. It lists a Dan Marshall move to discuss the draft resolution. I'm not sure whom that might be. It was seconded by Janice. Maybe it's me, but I don't think I did it because I was, well, maybe I did. I don't know.
Dan, usually I think you get listed because you're the person presenting the resolution, and then someone will second it before we discuss.
Okay.
I apologize. That must have just been a
Yeah,
out of practice.
yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. With that, I will move us to calling the roll to approve the agenda and the amended January minutes.
Aaron?
Aye.
Adrian?
Aye.
Bree?
Aye.
Dan Miller?
Aye.
Deanna? Deanna?
Couldn't get myself off mute. Abstain.
Okay. Tyler?
Aye.
Janice?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Joey?
Aye.
Carl?
Aye.
How do you vote, Cadence?
Aye.
Matthew Hendricks?
Aye.
Aya?
Aye.
Natalie?
Aye.
Tom? Did you want to vote, Tom?
I don't believe I believe Heather's still the voting member.
Okay. And Alyssa?
Aye. Thanks, Millicent.
Okay, 1 abstention and 15 ayes.
Millicent, I'm here now. This is Marty.
Hello, Marty. You want to vote on the minutes and the agenda?
Yes. Aye.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Millicent. Thanks, everyone. So typically right now we go into our reports and do most of our discussion later. I did want to, and our one discussion listed item is introducing Jeremy, who has already been put on the spot a little bit. So before we get into reports, Jeremy, I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to say to introduce yourself to the committee membership. Certainly, I wish we could all introduce ourselves back to you. And if we did, that would probably take the bulk of the rest of the meeting. But hopefully we'll have an opportunity to get to know you at some BAC social events and of course over the coming committee meetings. But we're happy to have you here if you want to say anything else other than hello.
Yeah, sure. No, I appreciate it. I'm very excited to be here. I used to go to more BAC meetings before I had children and had no more free time ever. So I'm very glad to be here. And now that I'm a parent and biking around in that capacity, I hope to kind of bring an extra perspective in that way to how people can really live their complete lives by bicycle in Minneapolis and help make that happen. So glad to be here.
I agree with Dan's clapping. I'm glad to have you here. So thanks. And thanks for letting me put you on the spot a little bit. So
thank you.
With that, I will turn it over to Bree, because I don't think Heather is here today for the 5E subcommittee report. And I think a big CIP resolution, right? Ooh la la. My favorite resolution of the year.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so last meeting, we really dug into the draft of the CIP resolution. I know in the all meeting last month, we went through it really briefly and knew we needed to work on it a little bit more. Heather was great to kind of put it in an outline. It is included in the agenda. If folks can pull it up, and Dan Miller did a lot of additional work kind of making the program process recommendations clearer. So yeah, I mean, does anyone have any questions on the updates or any comments at all on anything else? I do see, like in the program process recommendations, there's a further explain why. Dan, do you want to follow up on that or anything else?
Yeah, I can follow up. I'm wondering if you want to pull up on the screen the resolution so people can see it. And I guess I'm questioning whether we should read it first, or do we need to do that? Or
I was going to note that for the resolutions, we do need to read them aloud to make the motion. So if you want to do that, now is a good time, as good a time as any if we're going to be discussing it. So.
Does one of you want to pull it up? Or you want me to pull it up and you can read it on the screen?
If you could pull it up, Millicent, that'd be great.
Okay.
I've had problems in the past. It's really long, so I can read a part of it, and if anyone wants to raise their hand to read other parts of it, that'd be great, so you don't have to listen to my voice the whole time. But it's fine if that's the case as well. Okay, cool. Yeah, just raise your hand if you would like to. Okay. 2022 BAC CIP resolution updated draft. Background. The Minneapolis Bicycle Advisory Committee joins the Pedestrian Advisory Committee and the city of Minneapolis in envisioning a future where people of all ages and abilities can easily walk, roll, bike, or use transit as they navigate the city. This committee supports centering equity, engagement, evaluation, education, and encouragement in engineering and funding prioritization for transportation safety and infrastructure. To achieve these streets need to be rebuilt and investments need to emphasize undoing decades of investment in motor vehicle infrastructure. These white supremacist public policies destroyed and displaced BIPOC communities into neighborhoods that are segregated, subjected to environmental health hazards, and over-policed to this day. Okay, anyone else want to read? Nope. The infrastructure we fund and build now will shape how people get around for decades to come. With the current climate emergency and the city's commitments to climate justice, racial justice, and complete streets, we must act with urgency. Every infrastructure project has the potential to create progress or to maintain the status quo that limits economic opportunity, damages our climate, and endangers the lives of people who walk, roll, bike, or use transit. The city has outlined this clear vision for transformative change in its declaration of climate emergency. Resolution declaring racism as a public health emergency, complete streets policy in the 2040 comprehensive plan, Vision Zero action plan, and transportation action plan. These policies and priorities are not cost encumbered, however, leaving a lot of pressure on processes such as the capital improvement plan to fund them. Ooh, Maya.
Okay, funding recommendations. The 2022 CIP process should fund projects that reflect the city's priorities. We appreciate staff efforts to bring clarity to this process, but would appreciate further public collaboration about decisions made to prioritize certain projects over others. Every year, significantly more money is invested in motor vehicle infrastructure than in building the cleaner, safer, and people-scaled city envisioned. The city has a unique opportunity this year to take advantage of federal funding through the Infrastructure and Transportation Bill to dedicate more money to furthering its goals. We encourage Public Works staff, the City Council, CLIC, and the Mayor's Office to consider accelerating projects that are supported in the Transportation Action Plan, including river crossings for the Midtown Greenway extension to St. Paul, the Great Northern Greenway connecting North and Northeast Minneapolis, completion of the Grand Rounds missing link. Additionally, the city should work with the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board to support goals in the recently completed Parks for All comprehensive plan as they relate to transportation, infrastructure, and access. We encourage Public Works to further explore its own existing and new projects being pursued through regional solicitation for better alignment with CIP-funded project timelines.
Thanks, Maya. Janice?
Oh, I was raising my hand to comment, not to read. I can read. Okay, we asked program/process recommendations. We ask that Public Works consider CIP funding requests to include the following program and process recommendations to help prioritize and maintain the Transportation Action Plan's AAA network. To our knowledge, these program and process recommendations do not currently exist. Further explain why. I have a feeling that was not supposed to be in the motion. Create a coordinated life cycle program that evaluates existing AAA network bikeway conditions. That includes a schedule of investments in patching, resurfacing, and reconstruction, along with a schedule for maintenance of pavement markings and signage. Incorporate bikeway wayfinding into current CIP projects. That includes, I think these should be that include connections to pedestrian and transit infrastructure in business districts. Create a public map for bicycle/pedestrian projects and street reconstructions to assist with revisions and concerns. Prioritize scheduling of quote-unquote BP bicycle and pedestrian projects to start at the beginning of the construction season to prevent end-of-year mishaps, such as the 2021 Midtown Greenway repaving, the Whittier-Lyndale Bikeway, and the one-year postponement of the Queen Bike Boulevard. On-street reconstruction projects with AAA network improvements ensure that bike facility components are completed within its construction period. What has happened too often is that they are treated as a project adjunct at the end of the following year or later. Completion of the bicycle facilities should be prioritized in sync with vehicular facilities, including pavement markings and signage.
Thanks, Janice. And you had your hand raised for a comment or question as well?
Yeah, my comment.
Hold on, we need an official motion
yes.
maker in a second. Bree, can you say so moved? And then can we get someone who also did reading to be a second?
Thanks, Alyssa. So moved.
And this is Janice. Oh, okay. Either way, Janice, I'm happy to second.
Go for it, sorry.
We just really want to second this motion.
It's a good motion. Okay, so we have Janice as a second. Janice, please go ahead with your comment or question.
I think the last sentence of the first paragraph about white supremacist policies, to me, I think that's too confrontational a sentence. So I have two alternates. One suggestion would be just to leave that sentence out because I don't think it's needed. Alternatively, if people feel strongly that those sentiments need to be in the motion, I would suggest turning it around and making it positive. Instead of saying white supremacist public policies destroyed and displaced BIPOC communities, talk about the need to build up communities or something like that, and avoid a segregated environment. So my first suggestion would be to leave it out, but if people feel strongly, I would rephrase it in a positive way. Because I don't feel like I can vote for it with that sentence in there.
Can you say again where that sentence is, Janice?
The end, the under background at the very top. Is the background actually in the motion? If the background is in the motion, the last sentence of the, so the last sentence of the first paragraph, these white supremacist public policies.
What do you suggest?
I'm suggesting deleting the whole sentence. I don't think it's necessary. But if other people feel the sentiment is important, I would suggest rephrasing it in a positive way. So whatever other people think.
Could you strike through that rather than deleting it for the time being, Millicent, just so we don't lose that language? Thank you.
I feel strongly, it's a fact. I don't know why it's negative.
What if we said, this is Tyler, what if we said instead of white supremacist, what if we just said racist? It might calm it a little bit. I don't know. But I think it needs to be in there because Bree's right, it's true. And that's how we've gotten to where we are now.
How about if could you just say current policies? Destroyed and displaced BIPOC communities into neighborhoods that are segregated.
Yeah, I appreciate that suggestion, but I think then that point is a completely different point than it sounds like the authors were trying to make with that. So I think, Tyler's suggestion is in keeping with the original intent of that sentence. But if we sort of make it more general, then that sentence sort of loses the intent behind it. And I wasn't deeply involved in all of the edits, but want to respect that. This is the draft that Heather and others brought forth, and even though Heather's not here to talk through some of those details that she helped shepherd forward, that a lot of folks did do quite a lot of editing on the draft that we're seeing, and I would. It would be a bummer to lose out on some of the thinking that went into that and all that work.
And also when the previous sentence where it says undoing decades of investment in motor vehicle infrastructure, we don't want to undoing decades. Do we want to say of investment primarily in motor vehicle structure? Because we have invested in other things also. And
perhaps overinvestment, is that the intent there? Bree, could you speak to that? The idea that we overinvested in it?
I think like if we keep on adding things to it, it dilutes it again. And yeah, I added the last line to that paragraph. And we talked it over during the 5 E's to get to that point. And I am fine with these recent public policies. That will quell white feelings and the council and whoever reads this, I guess. I just don't have that side of the politician in me. So yeah, thanks for all of the insight. Okay, I don't know who was next.
I think Teams now fancily does put people in order. So I think it's Deanna and then Natalie and then Maya.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, Alyssa. I had no idea.
So can I ask a process question? The way this would go is if we wanted to make an amendment, if we make an amendment or propose an amended change to the motion, then we basically ask the person who made the motion whether they would consider that a friendly amendment. Is that correct? Is that how you would change this? In other words, if we change this to say these racists as opposed to these white supremacists, if indeed we wanted to propose, as Janice has suggested, that maybe we not put this sentence in, and the drafter, the proposer, Bree, says, no, I don't consider that an appropriate amendment, what then is the next process thing that would have to happen?
Yeah, you're asking a Robert's Rules question, so this is my turn to jump in. We follow Robert's Rules pretty informally. Technically, according to Robert's Rules, friendly amendments don't exist, but logistically, that becomes very challenging. So we have incorporated friendly amendments into our process. In the past, where there is a disagreement about language in a resolution or how to approach something, we can do a formal, so you can make a formal motion for an amendment to the resolution, and that can be an amendment where you strike, add, or replace are the three sort of mechanisms of Robert's Rules. So you have to choose one of those three, whether you're removing something as a strike, adding something is adding something, replacing something is striking something and putting something else in its place. And then we have to take a straight up-down vote on the motion to amend. And we first resolve the motion to amend before we vote yes or no on the motion. So we have to resolve the question of the language on the motion then before we're able to take the motion to a vote. Is that clear?
Okay. All right. So somebody would have to make a formal motion. I see. So and I don't know whether we are ready to leave this first paragraph or not. On the second page, there was a comment, and Janice picked it up too. I'm not quite sure what it says. No, before this, sorry. It says explain. Oh, you've taken it out.
Yeah, so Dan Miller can touch on that. Okay. But the next person is Natalie.
Hi. I just wanted to, regarding that first paragraph we were discussing, I wanted to just support the adjustment to racist public policies. And I also, I think that leaving that that previous sentence emphasizing the undoing decades of investment in motor vehicle infrastructure, I think that that's useful because our focus is on focusing on what we want them to do. And I don't think that changing that to dilute it is going to be helpful for our process.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's helpful, so thanks.
Maya, did you have something? I saw a hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring, I guess, for not changing the wording in the last sentence. I think there was a comment or a note about wanting it to have a more positive spin, and I think I would argue that the paragraph directly after that, is a positive spin, and that it's talking about how what we're doing here and the infrastructure and I guess money that we put into these projects can empower different groups. So that's my take.
Thanks, Maya. Aaron?
Hey, yeah, so sorry to go back to that second to last sentence of the first paragraph, but I had just a suggestion for a word to add in between decades of an investment, I would suggest adding disproportionate investment in motor vehicle infrastructure. I think that might get to the point Janice was going toward. Just to emphasize that it's been kind of too much in favor of motor vehicles instead of just general investment.
Okay.
So that's it. Thank you.
Cool. Carl?
What's the right word?
Disproportionate, so delete the L and add TE.
Oh, good catch.
Thanks.
Carl?
Hi, we're jumping back and forth here. I'm coming back to the final sentence in defense of the term. Sorry, final sentence of the first paragraph. I'm coming in defense of the term white supremacist being included by the sentiment that we are specifically calling out BIPOC communities, and I think that if we're approaching it from that perspective, we can also identify the inverse of those policies that are being spoken to here.
Well, thank you. Martha?
I was just wondering, we have to call things what they are. And I'm not sure why there's a problem with white supremacy. It is racist. I mean, we can't stand back and just we got to change the narrative, I guess is what I'm saying. It's not okay to continue these practices. And if we feel like that they're white supremacists or racist, we need to name that. We can't be backing up and not supporting everybody. And it kind of makes me sad to think that you would even consider that not to be a okay term to use, because it is true. It's racist. And I don't know. I feel like as one of the few people of color on this committee, I'm like, whoa, what is happening? We need to have more discussions about the realities that it might not be white supremacist, but it's racist. Okay, and well, that's all I gotta say, but I just feel strongly that when they made that statement in there was a reason for that. And for us to lessen it and say we don't want to do it because it sounds too harsh, I'm sorry. It's been harsh all along for BIPOC people. And so I support you, Bree. I mean,
thank you.
I don't know. I don't have anything else to say, but I just think we got to be real. We can't continue to dance around stuff.
Thanks, Marty. Okay. Natalie is next.
Just coming back around and saying, you know what? No, I'm good with white supremacist. Thanks.
And as everyone knows, I'm always good with the truth, the blunt truth. Okay, Jeremy.
Yeah, so I actually just was thinking with the word disproportionate, the concern, I guess, that I would have, and maybe this is just not super important, but I believe is mode share somewhere around 6% nowadays for bikes in the city. And speaking historically, someone could quibble and say, well, it was proportionate given the percentage of trips that were made by bicycle back then. So maybe something more accurate would be like decades of damage or harmful investment, something like that couldn't be quibbled with. Just an idea.
Yeah. I like that. Thanks, Jeremy. Aaron.
Okay, so I guess so going back to that the last sentence now, I think I'm not gonna kind of throw my hat in either side per se, but I just want to clarify: are we like when you hear the term white supremacist, I'm thinking at least of people like wearing the white hoods and doing awful things, and when you're hearing racist public policies, I tend to think of systemic racism. like people who maybe are making decisions that they're not sitting there maybe purposely deciding that they want to hurt a specific group of people, but that happens regardless of their intent. So they are doing it. And so I guess I would want to clarify. I'm like, I think whatever the group decides, I'll be fine with, but I just, in terms of this discussion, I want to know exactly what we're talking about. So it's more of a question instead of a statement.
Oh, yeah, I mean, sorry, I had a gnat in front of me. I forgot I was on speaker still. But yeah, I mean, it's funny, that's like your perspectives. And thanks for sharing that. I think of Robert Moses and white dudes in suits as white supremacists, especially in public policy. And yes, it's systematic, but I think it was done intentionally to communities of BIPOC communities because they weren't allowed to be a Jane Jacobs of their community and fight for whatever, would be their Washington Square. And they just were able to decimate entire Black and brown communities with the highway system and other public policies and public service throughout generations and continuing to do that today. So that is my perspective in doing that. And then also, I mean, I added this line just before the 5E subcommittee meeting because, I mean, one, it's true, but then also because we are saying that we're centering equity, engagement, evaluation, education, and encouragement, which in my mind doesn't mean anything because it's centering everything. So I just really wanted to hit home that, and I think the, decades of investment in motor vehicle infrastructure, I also played off of that to be like, okay, well, this actually harmed people and how did that happen and is happening. So that was my reasoning to add that. So doesn't look like there's any more comments. I mean, I would love to add back these white supremacist public policies. Okay, Deanna is next.
Yeah, I just wanted to know who is the audience for this resolution?
That's a great question. I was waiting for it to come up. We talk about this every year. Bree, did you want to take this question, or Chris? You both came off mute and looked ready to answer. Otherwise, I'm happy to.
You can do it.
Sure. So in general, all resolutions go off to the mayor and staff and the city council and their staff. The CIP one is a little more unique, and I guess not entirely unique, that it's targeted towards our staff, mostly towards our staff in public works that put together the capital budget request, which is what goes to CLIC, which is basically how the CIP gets passed. So this is probably most directly speaking straight to my closest colleagues, like the people that I work closest with and staff in my division, but it also kind of reverberates out from there a little bit, and definitely will be, we send out all resolutions to all the elected officials and their staff as well. So that's another audience to keep in mind.
And then I'll just add to that I think this resolution and kind of the high level framing we do on it every year, in part because of the timing, but in part because it's one of the few resolutions where we sort of zoom up and we think about the whole of what's happening within public works infrastructure. It really does inform the annual presentation that I do as chair to the formerly the TMPW, now the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee, to council. This is our most recent sort of working through what is our high level perspective on things. And so I don't know that you can consider that necessarily an audience, but I do want to like highlight that I think what appears in here is going to be recommunicated to council in a different form. And so that's sort of like that secondary use as well. So I guess I'm the audience, but.
Thanks, Chris and Alyssa. Any questions about that? Okay. Dan Miller?
Yeah, just to add what Chris and Alyssa had mentioned is that this document is intended for Public Works and their creation of CIP requests for funding. And while there are some big ideas in this, there's also some specifics. So it also goes to the other people, but it's part of the presentation that the CIP staff, the Public Works CIP staff, brought to us before, and we're responding to that. And some of it is very visionary, and other parts of this are a little more detailed. And I have a few more comments throughout the this resolution. If you'd like me to go ahead and do that now, Bree, or
well, I see Jeremy put his hand up, so this is gonna kind of close up the first paragraph. But Jeremy, what's up? Oh, you might be on mute.
I wasn't sure if we had if we were going to talk about other parts of it. I had a question about the details as well, but if we're still talking about the first paragraph, I retract my hand.
Okay, cool. Let's get to the second paragraph. Okay. Anything there anyone have?
Bree, I wonder if, and Alyssa maybe weigh in on this as well, but we were kind of talking about people were asking about the different ways of something's accepted or not. So I think maybe before we move on, Bree, if you just want to say which one you accept as the friendly amendment, then that would kind of set up the rest of the conversation.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, my screen froze, but hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can hear you.
Yeah, I say these white supremacist public policies. My idea was moving forward just to like have people percolate on it a bit. Okay. It doesn't look like there's anything for the second paragraph, so we will move on. Funding recommendations. Any comments or changes on that one section? Oh, Dan Miller. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, folks. I think a lot of good work went into this, and there's just a few things that we did last time that made sense that I didn't catch that create a little bit of a problem. The 3 bullet points that are there, the first one about the Midtown Greenway and the Great Northern Greenway are both river crossings. They were combined in one sentence before. However, if we want to keep them separate, I would change river crossings to river crossing for the Midtown Greenway. And the second bullet point, I would go river crossing and completion of trail gaps for the Great Northern Greenway, connecting north to northeast Minneapolis.
You're on mute. I think that's thanks, Dan, and Jeremy jump in.
Yes, and so I just have a clarifying question because I wasn't able to make it to the 5Es. Was in this conversation about the river crossing for the Midtown Greenway or the completion of the Grand Rounds missing link, did the Prospect Park Trail get touched on in this? Because this is something that's kind of a linchpin to the success of bringing the off-street bike network across the river. I don't mean to add anything, but just wondering if that was implied in there, because with 94 being rebuilt, there are Met Council and federal infrastructure dollars that are implicated with potentially making this happen the right way while MnDOT is working on this.
You're on mute, Bree.
I don't remember that being brought up at all. Do you have any suggestions on how that could fit in?
River crossing for the Midtown Greenway extension to St. Paul and continuing extension into southeast Minneapolis via Prospect Park Trail, something like that. Because the railroad goes in two directions. It crosses the river, and one goes over into St. Paul and one goes over towards the university area. And the Prospect Park Trail is the part of that that goes over 94 on that bridge that MnDOT wants to demolish and that Click downgraded a couple of years ago.
Can you say that sentence, that addition again, Jeremy?
Sure. So river crossing for the Midtown Greenway extension to St. Paul and continuing extension into southeast Minneapolis via Prospect Park Trail. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, anything else on this funding recommendations section? Doesn't look like it, so we're headed to the program process recommendations. Let's see, anyone have any comments on these? Dan Miller? You are on mute. Okay, and now your hand's down, Dan. So, Deanna?
I'm sorry.
Go on, Dan.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going off and on mute. The further explain why is deleted, and the third bullet point where it says create a public map, if we could add the word create a public comment map, just add the word comment. And that's it. I'd like to explain this whole section with these bullet points. This is a lot of my work, and we've talked about this a little bit, and a lot of the reason for putting it in is that they are kind of specific things that kind of get missed in the transportation action plan, and they've been brought up a number of times in committee here, and they are things that actually some CIP funding could go towards. So that's why they're in there. They are pieces of that deal with the existing our existing bikeway system, which is getting old, and it's time to be putting together things that help it out. Thank you.
Deanna?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions and maybe a comment. Bullet 4, what does the quote BP mean?
It's an abbreviation for the PED bike programs. And so it could be deleted, but the people in that are doing the CIP stuff may recognize it as a particular program.
Okay.
You know, I would actually suggest not putting it in there. Like for example, BIC 28 is our bike code, so BP might be a little more limiting than it needs to be, and I think the folks that would look at it would get the point just by explaining
okay
kind of what kinds of projects.
So do you want to add bike ped or just take out all of it?
Just take that out, what is highlighted right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the last bullet, I think it would make that paragraph a little stronger, putting the last sentence, completion of the bike trail facilities should prioritize. I say that because by starting with, this is the English major in me, by starting with an independent clause, you weaken the sentence. So if you start with the last sentence and put that as your first sentence, I think it might be a stronger statement. And then that's all, just switch them around.
Okay.
Okay.
And do you have any comments on that at all?
I'm good.
Cool. Aaron.
Hey, yeah, so looking at the second to last bullet point, if you look at the Whittier-Wendell Bikeway comment, I was just gonna suggest something, maybe something along the lines of the Whittier-Wendell Bikeway surprise winter closure or something like that, just to specify what happened. I still think that's it's a complicated description, but that might get the point across.
I'll just add in, Aaron, that I think they know exactly what you're talking about, as is. But I mean, I'm not against putting anything else in there or anything.
I'm glad to hear that, Chris. But yeah, something like that, something very short like that, then should probably clarify anything that maybe needs it.
Thanks. Yeah. And again, like there are new city council members going to see this too. So I think clarifying it is good.
Cool. Thank you.
Dan, your hand is raised. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Let's see. Melissa, could you head up to the first paragraph again? Okay, last call on the highlighted part. I still think stating facts isn't bad. So these white supremacist public policies, I think it's fine to include it. Any folks want to do a last comment? Okay, Janice?
Oh, okay, now I'm unmuted. I was going to say, when you kind of explained, when you talked about Robert Moses, then I totally understand, so I withdraw my comment.
Okay, thank you.
So if you want to leave white supremacists, I agree with you.
Okay, Deanna? You're muted.
Yeah, I was actually going to suggest that in the interest of process, maybe we should vote for one or the other. However, I'm hearing from the committee that probably most people are comfortable with white racist as opposed to racist, or white supremacy as opposed to racist. So I'm not so sure that the vote would make a difference. So I'll withdraw as well.
Okay, great, cool.
And I'll just, since I'm the person, this is Tyler, since I'm the person that brought up that suggestion, I can withdraw that. I was just trying to find middle ground with keeping the sentence in there.
Well, that was a good conversation. Thank you, everybody. So, oh, Deanna, you have your hand up, and Janice does too. Is that just from past stuff?
Yeah, that was before. Yeah.
Wonderful. So we are ready to vote. Oh, Melissa, can you add back? I mean, just delete the line break for the last sentence there, so it's a part of the first paragraph. Yeah, thank you. Cool. Oh, I think I need the space now. Okay. I move this resolution.
Yeah, we've already moved it. Millicent, could you call the roll?
Okay.
This is a
Aaron?
real discussion.
Aye.
All right, Adrian?
Aye.
Bree?
Aye.
Dan Miller?
Hi.
Deanna?
Aye.
Tyler,
Aye.
Janice,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Aye.
Jesse,
Abstain.
Joey,
Aye.
Carl,
Aye.
Cadence,
Aye.
Marty,
Aye.
Matthew Hendricks,
Aye.
Maya,
Aye.
Natalie,
Aye.
and Alyssa.
I will abstain per usual. Thank you.
Two
Melissa,
abstentions.
this is Heather too. I joined a little bit late, but I'd like to vote aye.
Okay, great. Hi, Heather. So that makes 16 yes and 2 abstentions.
Okay, thanks everyone. Moving on. So for council changes, I know Phil was able to connect with his new city council person, and that it sounds like there is someone lined up for being the new Robin Garwood, the liaison between the council and the BAC. I forget their name and what ward they're from. So if anyone remembers.
Yeah, it's Ben Carrier, and it's from Ward 1. He's from Ward 1. So Councilmember Payne.
Thank you so much, Chris. And then we're all heartbroken that Matthew is gone, and there's a happy hour tomorrow for him and Robin at Ben Brewing. So hopefully to see your faces there. And it sounds like they're moving forward to hire a replacement. And Alyssa has been talking with, I always forget if it's Kathleen or Catherine. Chris.
Kathleen Mayell, who is now Chris's boss.
Thank you. I don't know why there's that block. Okay, Dan Miller.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Ben Carrion is actually a policy aide to Councilmember Payne. So he is the council member, he's the council aide, he's the council attendee at this thing, not the Ward 1 representative, just to keep things clear there. Yep.
Thank you.
Correct. Thanks, Dan.
Cool. That's it for 5Es. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bree, and thanks to everybody who attended the 5Es meetings and waiting on the resolution. I'm really excited about the resolution we passed, and I know it was a lot of work by a lot of folks. So thank you all. I'm looking forward to continuing to tell the City Council and Public Works what we want, which is all the things that we just said. So. With that, I will turn it over to Dan and Marty for the engineering subcommittee update. I think we have a fair amount to get through on that side as well.
Yes, we are quite busy. Millicent, do you mind putting up the first slide for me, the Hiawatha Lake slide?
Hold on 1 second.
And I'm going to ask that anybody that was there at the engineering committee, would you also chime in if I missed something or misspeak on something? I took notes the best I could, so I may have missed a couple things. So feel free to, let me know and we can change things. All right, I'm gonna. Oh, there it goes. Good. All right, Hiawatha Lake project. Kelsey Foyt with the City of Minneapolis, Aaron Tagg, Lisa Alston, Luke Sandstrom with MnDOT, Jason Stabell with Hennepin County. This is a really huge project. It is being partnered by MnDOT, Hennepin County, the City of Minneapolis, and Metro Transit. The goal is to reflect public priorities for the Hiawatha Lake intersections. Friendly for all modes of transportation. Right now, it's only mostly friendly for vehicular traffic. Construction will start late 2023, 24. They're thinking of a diamond design a signal on each side of the bridge, traffic signals off each ramp to kind of slow down the traffic. So I don't know, Millicent, if you can pull up the screen a little bit to kind of keep going. So people, I don't know if people had a chance to take a look at it, but it's really interesting. Keep going. Okay, right there. So, yeah, right there. So they want to square off the ramps for safer pedestrian crossing and improve biking connections. They are outreaching diverse populations for how to design the space under the bridge. So if you notice that yellow area, that's really making it better for the pedestrians to cross, but that means there'll be areas underneath the bridge now that will be open space. So they're asking people how they might want to possibly design that. They're open for ideas for making space more personal. They've targeted outreach to indigenous communities, and they want to return to us at 15% in April. So Dan, anybody for the engineering committee want to add anything to it? But that picture right there kind of shows you the change. And I don't know, Dan, do you know if it's above or below the way it is right now? Oh, you are muted.
You're muted, Dan.
It's below 55. Lake Street is there.
Okay, any questions? Did I miss anything? Okay. Moving on to the next one. All right. Next one is the 2022 Vision Zero Corridors. It's at 0%. It's Amy Barnstoff, Kristen Zimmerman, and the city of Minneapolis. They want to make this safety program cost effective because right now they're paying a lot of attention to the high injury streets that were identified by the Zero Vision Action Plan. They got $1.2 million to make the improvement. They have a total of 24 high injury streets right now. They plan on doing quick build materials, paint. A few places are going to get upgraded curbs. They're going to use rapid flashing beacons, bump outs. There'll be 4 corridors listed above were delayed last year because of material shortages. So they had things planned ahead, but there were some shortages of material. And so they're going to get 4 projects started as soon as the weather improves. And then let's see. Suggested intersection of 42nd Street and Whitworth, a stop sign for going east and west. Someone mentioned there was nothing going north and south because cars tend to run that stop sign, possibly bump outs. They did involve stakeholders. There was a comment about there was some disappointment about the Monroe having a tough place for pedestrian crossing. They're going to phase in signals considered, and they're going to usually return. They're going to return to us because this was just like an update. So that was a lot to be said. Is there anything that anybody wants to add? I see Dan, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to mention that the agenda here at the bottom has the presentation as well as designs that were done last year for, I think it's 4 different streets. And with what they're proposing, they're not putting, it's a menu, but they're not doing all the things in all streets. But something that Chris sent out was, it was a link to the comments map. It's a public comments map, and it's basically a map of Minneapolis with the high injury streets highlighted. And on there, you can click and add a concern. And I think this group would merit that this group take a look at streets that you're familiar with and have certain issues, and think about the menu of things that they are looking at doing, and make a suggestion based on some of those your concerns and what you think might make a good solution. I found it very helpful, and it's filled up quite rapidly. So take a look at it, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Did anybody have any other comments or add any comments? Okay, I can't be doing that great. All right, I'm just going to continue on then. All right, and last call for that one. Dan, your hand is still up. Okay, the next one is First Avenue South Reconstruction. It's at 0%. Katie White, City of Minneapolis, presented it. First Avenue South, Lake Street, where the Kmart Northwest corner is, Midtown Greenway, Franklin ending by the Convention Center. So I don't know if Millicent, if you could pull that up from that link so people can kind of see it. They're looking to build one long corridor, a mile long, mile and a half, broken up into 2 construction years. The Kmart project is coming and the Midtown Bridge will be totally reconstructed. They're going to upgrade the entire street. 2021, the West Side Bike Trail is going to be made permanent. Lots of speeding is in this area, so they're going to try to change the lanes to 1. They're starting engagement now with the public February 28th or March 3rd. They're thinking about having a virtual open house. One-way bike northbound facility, east side of street, Lake and 28th. They were talking about, do we need metered spots for parking? That was something they weren't sure of, and they're going to return in April. So anybody need to add or want to add? Dan, do you want to add anything? Oh, Deanna, yes.
So why do we not have a resolution on this? Because they're coming back in April?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I know this area really well. I'm just curious. Okay.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yes, Deanna, all of these projects were at 0%, so it was truly just an introduction, and we didn't, at the subcommittee meeting, there didn't seem to be a need to, at this time, to do a resolution on any of them.
Yeah, they really wanted to kind of give an update to us to kind of prepare us for what was going to be coming later, which I thought was kind of nice to be at 0% to kind of plug in the ideas. So, Alyssa.
Yeah, I guess if we don't think there's a need for a resolution, certainly we don't have to have one. I do want to note that it's very exciting to me to see the city considering removal of a traffic lane for any stretch of this project without us having to have said that first. That's typically where most of the projects come to us. We're like, what if you considered removing a travel lane? So I don't know if there's something we want to say to that effect now or when it comes through next time. That just struck me as like really unusual and also a great sign of progress that I wanted all of us to be able to celebrate a little bit, even if we're not doing a resolution right now.
How are people feeling about that? Any comments? Deanna, is your hand still up? Deanna, your hand is up. Okay, it's gone. Aaron.
I guess I'll celebrate with Alyssa. I think it's amazing to see this coming through. Like I've written the temporary part that's in there. That's just using, I hope using bollards. I haven't written it, I guess, since the southbound section was closed for winter. But I'm hoping there's bollards there this winter because they're supposed to be. But just even that as kind of a test phase shows what the future will be when it's fully implemented after the reconstruction. So it's very cool.
Anyone else? Comments? Aaron, I think your hand is still up. All right. Well, I'm going to move on. And like Dan said earlier, these are all 0%. They just wanted to get a little start, getting us to start thinking about it. All right, I'm going to the next one. 26th Avenue North to Olson Park Trail Gap. The project's at 0%. Tyler Peterson, Minneapolis Park and Rec Board. Greg Brown with Kim Lee Horn, Bill Smith, and BECO Associations. All right, this was kind of exciting to me because they're going to expand the Recreation River and Regional Trail access to North Minneapolis. Yay. It's not going to be a trail. It's going to be experience. They want to have fishing, hanging out, paddling, launches, vistas. You get to be in the nature, get to see the river. They want seamless connections to existing trails. They're going to use a less than 5% slope for trail accessibility. Separate trails for bike and pedestrians when appropriate. Minimize disturbance of river bluffs, so they're going to make sure the river bluff stays natural. Where disturbed, they're going to restore and enhance the landscape. They've received $3 million for the project, and they're thinking they're going to start it in June 2024. And again, they're thinking about connecting those paths. So this sounds really cool. Being someone who lives on the north side, I'm very excited about this. So any comments, any additional comments? If you get a chance to look through the slides, please do. It's pretty cool. Dan.
I just wanted to, this is an important project for this area to complete this trail gap, as well as offer sort of a riverfront experience underneath the bridge area and where you can get down to the river. I wanted just to point out that there is a public virtual meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, I believe, and you can find that by Googling Ole Olson or 26th Avenue North River Overlook to Ole Olson Park Trail Gap, and you should be able to get at it. And yeah, this is a great project. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Anyone else with comments? Please take a look at those slides. It's really pretty cool what they're suggesting to do. All right, I think we're on to the last one. It is the Green Central Safe Routes to School, also at 0%. Kristen Zimmerman, Jasmine Hasdick-Stanek, Minneapolis Public Works. I had a little trouble with that, sorry. It's Safe Routes to School project from Richard Green Elementary School, yay, 34th Street South and 10th or 11th Avenues to Anderson United School. Safety improvements for walking and biking, primarily at the intersections. They're going to consider the pros and cons of using 10th Avenue, which is a AAA network, and 11th Avenue, which is on the 2014 Safe Routes to School map. 34th is on both the AAA network and the SRTS map. Currently, they're doing community engagement, followed by concept development, and construction is going to start in 2024. They received $2 million of budget, and there also is a parking study planned. There was a comment made to consider bump outs on Park in Portland, and we asked them to come back at 15% for a review. So any questions or comments about this project? I don't know how you all feel, but I'm kind of glad they're kind of coming a little earlier to kind of give us a chance to kind of look at it and think about it. And I like that they give us a little heads up and then they're going to come back and present it. So Dan.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about getting introduced to these projects and to have this information, we may be ahead of the first public engagement, and they're looking at different public engagement groups through the process. But something I've found wonderful is to go out and actually visit these sites that they're talking about, to sort of experience that. And that helps you gain an understanding, and you may find that helpful. Thanks.
Oh, I totally agree. If you haven't been in those areas, it is pretty cool to go see what it looks like right now and just think about all the changes that they're potentially going to do in it. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Anyone else with comments? This is kind of nice because we don't have any resolutions. It's all intro. I'm feeling very good about that.
I have one quick comment, Martha.
Go ahead.
So on the 10th Avenue part of the Safe Routes route proposed for Green Central,
yes,
I think there's an opportunity now with the 10th Avenue bridge over the Midtown Greenway. It's currently closed to motor vehicle traffic, so it's essentially a inadvertent pilot of how that could work, and it's doing a great job of reducing motor vehicle traffic along 10th Avenue. I bike to school at Anderson with my son, and it's been a lot more pleasant in that stretch. So I'd encourage Public Works to evaluate that as though it were a pilot. I know it's not intentional. I know it's for maintenance reasons that it's closed, but to see if that's something that could be made permanent.
I agree. Being a teacher it also takes students around on the bike trails. Anytime it looks better and it's easier to access, that's a plus. Definitely a plus. All right. Any comments? Oh, go ahead.
Matthew, I was just wondering if you just want me to take that back to the project team, which I'm happy to do, or if you're wanting to propose a resolution on that. Either way works for me, but just wondering.
Sure. It's a little cumbersome to propose and move and vote. So if that's not adding a lot, then I'm fine with skipping it. Yeah, if it's okay to just do it as a comment and that's just as effective, I'm fine with that approach.
Yeah, I can definitely get that to Christian and Yasna.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. That's the end of the engineering. Again, if you were there and if I missed anything, please feel free to add. But that's it. That's all I have. We have. Alyssa, I'm going to turn it over.
All right, thanks Marty and Dan for the assist, and I continue to appreciate there's a lot that goes through the engineering subcommittee every month, and you are asked to digest a lot of information, and I appreciate you doing the work to make it even more digestible for all the rest of us. So, well, with our resolution taking an hour, I wasn't thinking we might end early, but I think we might end early today. So we are in announcements. So Bree I have a couple. Bree already announced. But reminder that the happy hour for Matthew Deardahl, our departed bike ped coordinator, and Robin Garwood, our former council rep, is tomorrow evening. I hope to see some of you there. It is going to be cold. I will be bringing a blanket to hang out on the patio. So that's tomorrow. A couple other things. So the Pedestrian Advisory Committee reached out to me. They're in the process of coordinating their visits to speak to council reps. So we had talked at the top of the year about how if you are a ward appointee, it's really great to make sure that you're connected with your council person, both if they are new to their role, and also making sure that you check in if you're interested in being reappointed when the reappointment cycle starts in like March or April. And the Pedestrian Advisory Committee doesn't have ward appointees like we do. They have just a number of at-large seats. So if you are going to be reaching out to your council member to try to set up a meeting, a Pedestrian Advisory Committee member likely would be interested in joining you. So if you've done that or plan to do it, please shoot me an email and I would be happy to connect you with some Pedestrian Advisory Committee members. It's nice to have a buddy going into some of those council meetings, both because you can have somebody there to have more of a conversation with, but also because then you're able to bring forward that integrated walking and biking perspective. So I'll try to send out a reminder email about it as well, but just wanted to verbally announce that in case anybody had any questions about it. Cool, not seeing any questions. And then the last announcement, I need to dig in my email very briefly. So there are city staff interested in doing some assessments around winter maintenance. So Amy Barnsdorf is interested in doing some conversations with folks who are familiar with some of the before after on a few different projects. So Plymouth, Johnson, 8th Street in downtown, Girard, 42nd, and the Southwest Wyndham neighborhood. So if you are a person who has experienced the before and after of any of those projects and would be interested in being interviewed with Amy as part of the folks giving feedback on winter maintenance, please let me know. Amy would love to connect with you. And I will email that out also because that's kind of a long list of projects. So that's my list of announcements. Other announcements? None? Okay, I did all the announcements, I guess. Oh, Jesse?
Yeah, sure. I'll add an announcement. I think I may have mentioned this briefly before, but now there's more details. The Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals Conference is going to be in Minneapolis, hopefully in August, and their call for presentations was just put out for that. If anyone is particularly interested in either getting ideas together for a workshop or panel session, let me know. I can send out a link to the group as well if there are folks who are interested. I think it would be particularly kind of cool to potentially have a session that is focused on the BAC and PAC and their role in helping Minneapolis become more bike and pedestrian friendly, and sharing that with a national audience. So yeah.
I guess I might have one more announcement about the new Minneapolis Public Works Director. I'm not sure if that was, I don't think that was final the last time we met as a committee, but in case folks hadn't heard, Margaret Anderson Kelleher is going to be the new Minneapolis Public Works Director with a start date in March, I think Dan told me. So keep your ears out. That'll be a big change from All right, I'm not seeing any other hands or folks coming off mute, and the sun is still up and we're ending early, so I want folks to be able to get outside if you would like to do that. I will call us adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. Jeremy, it was great to have you here and meet you. Thanks everybody for the great discussion today, and looking forward to seeing at least some of you tomorrow in the cold.
Bye, thanks everyone.
Thanks everybody.